Welcome back to another explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we are going to completely decode the secrets of home heating and cooling. We're drawing on some truly fantastic, on-the-ground insights from the specialists at Alpha HVAC Nashville to build what I'm calling the ultimate homeowner survival guide. If you have ever stared at your thermostat and wondered what is actually going on behind your walls, well, you're in the exact right place. Let's dive right in.
Picture this absolute nightmare scenario. What happens when your AC dies in July? Now, if you live in the South, and specifically around Middle Tennessee, you already know that a broken AC in the dead of a humid 90-degree summer is not just some minor inconvenience, it is an absolute, downright homeowner emergency. I mean, it's a safety issue. And usually what happens? We panic, we make rushed, expensive decisions. But today, we are going to change that.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the Tennessee Climate Challenge, common warning signs, the professional service process, the actual science of sizing your unit, and finally, the ultimate financial rules for repairing versus replacing.
Section 1. The Tennessee Climate Challenge. Let's go ahead and introduce the ultimate villain of our story here, which is the local geography and climate. So the specific environmental threats in a place like Hendersonville, Tennessee, basically create a relentless stress test for your unit. First, you've got that brutal summer heat in the 90s paired with incredibly heavy humidity, which literally forces your system to run longer cycles just to wring the moisture out of the air. That wears out compressors fast. Then you flip to winter with those rapid freeze-thaw cycles that can actually crack your condensate drain lines or even form thick, damaging ice right on the outdoor cabinet. And honestly, here's my personal favorite hidden threat: shifting clay soil. It swells and shrinks with seasonal moisture, physically pulling ductwork apart under your home and creating massive air leaks.
And you know, these challenges get incredibly hyper-local. If you live right near Old Hickory Lake, that heavy coastal-level humidity demands dedicated dehumidification. Just controlling the temperature isn't going to cut it. Plus, you have to factor in the housing stock itself. A lot of the older neighborhoods are full of these great 1970s ranch homes, but they were built long before modern efficiency standards were a thing. A lot of them have crawlspace foundations, making them super vulnerable to that shifting clay soil and duct separation we were just talking about.
Moving on to Section 2. Common HVAC warning signs. How do we actually know when the environment is winning before a disaster strikes?
Okay, this is a classic one. You hear the AC running constantly, blowing air, but you're still just sitting there sweating in your living room. The symptom is obvious, but the root cause is purely mechanical. This almost always points to low refrigerant from a leak somewhere or a severely blocked evaporator coil. And remember that humidity we just mentioned? High humidity actually accelerates coil fouling because that sticky moisture traps all the dust and debris right onto the fins of the unit, completely suffocating its airflow.
Then there are the sounds. If your system starts sounding like a distressed, failing vehicle, grinding, squealing, banging, those are the mechanical parts literally crying out for help. Grinding usually means the bearings in your blower motor are shot. Banging? Ooh, banging is even scarier. That often means internal components inside the compressor have literally broken loose. Listen, these are absolutely not the kinds of noises you can just turn up the TV to ignore.
But what if there's no noise, no sweating, just a massive shock when you open the mail? Spiking energy bills without a single change in your usage habits is a massive red flag. This signals a gradual, creeping efficiency loss. It means you probably have a slow refrigerant leak, dirty coils, or a dying compressor that is suddenly working twice as hard to produce the exact same amount of cool air. Your system is failing. It's just hitting your wallet before it hits your thermostat.
Let's jump into Section 3, the 3-step service process. Because when those warning signs pop up, you need to call on the pros.
When you look at how high-standard operations like Alpha HVAC Nashville run things, you see a very specific rapid response protocol. Step 1 is the call and triage, where real emergencies actually get prioritized for same-day dispatch. Step 2 is a precise diagnosis at the component level. There's no guessing here. They use calibrated equipment to pinpoint the exact failure, and they require upfront approval from you, the homeowner. Finally, Step 3 is the repair. Since they use fully stocked trucks with the compressors, capacitors, and blower motors right there on board, the fix happens that exact same day. And then they do full system testing to make sure everything from humidity to temperature is perfectly dialed in.
I love this because it perfectly illustrates the standard you should absolutely demand from any technician. Transparent, flat-rate pricing upfront is literally your best defense against service scams. You need to see the cost, understand exactly what failed and why, and approve the work before a single wrench is ever turned.
All right, Section 4, the science of sizing. Let's peek behind the curtain at the actual technical standards that make an HVAC system hum perfectly. If you ever hear a technician use the industry jargon Manual J, here's what that actually means. It's a load calculation protocol, and it totally debunks that old myth of bigger is always better. When it comes to HVAC, bigger is absolutely not better. If you just buy the biggest unit you can afford, it's going to cool your house way too fast and shut off before it ever has a chance to pull the humidity out of the air. You'll end up living in a cold, clammy house. Manual J calculates your exact needs based on square footage, insulation, window count, and even the direction your house faces. And right alongside that is the Manual D protocol, which focuses entirely on your ductwork. You guys, ducts are just as important as the AC unit itself. If your return ducts are undersized, they create negative static pressure. So what happens? Your system literally gasps for air. It starts pulling unconditioned, dirty, hot air from outside through every gap and crack in your home just to feed the blower motor.
Which brings us to our final section, repair versus replace rules. It's time to open up the ultimate homeowner's financial playbook.
12 to 15 years. That is the average lifespan of an HVAC unit in a highly humid climate like Tennessee's. And here's a super critical detail. Heat pumps actually wear out even faster than AC-only units because they run year-round, doing double duty for both heating and cooling. So if your system is hitting that 12-year mark, you need to start paying very, very close attention.
Next up is the 3-minute rule. This is such a great insider secret. If your AC shuts off, you have to wait at least 3 minutes before restarting it. Why? Well, you need to let the high-pressure refrigerant inside the system completely equalize. If you get impatient, fiddle with the thermostat, and force it to restart too fast, the compressor has to battle against massive internal pressure, which dramatically shortens its lifespan. So, give it 3 minutes. But look, eventually, despite all your best efforts, a breakdown is going to happen. And it brings us to this classic, highly stressful homeowner dilemma. Do you sink more money into repairing an old, tired system, or do you bite the bullet and replace it entirely?
Here is where the $5,000 rule comes in. I absolutely love this formula because it totally removes the emotion from the decision. You simply take the age of your system in years and you multiply it by the cost of the quoted repair. If that total number exceeds $5,000, replacement makes way more financial sense. So for example, say you have a 12-year-old unit and you're facing a $500 repair. 12 times 500 is $6,000. Under this rule, you are throwing good money after bad. It's time to replace.
And if you do find yourself needing to replace it, follow these golden rules. First, timing. Try to buy between October and March. That's off-peak pricing, so you avoid the premium surge rates contractors charge during the July emergency. Second, make sure your new unit has a high SEER 2 efficiency rating. That can qualify you for federal tax credits. Third, always demand multiple, fully itemized quotes separating out labor, parts, and permits so you know exactly what you're paying for. And lastly, like we just learned, never let a contractor skip that Manual J load calculation. I really want to highlight this final quote from our source material. It is the ultimate takeaway here. Seasonal maintenance. Doing the simple stuff, like changing your filters, clearing your condensate lines, having a pro check the electrical connections, that is your truest defense against extreme weather. A well-maintained system simply does not fail when you need it most. Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder today. Think about your own home right now. Is your HVAC system quietly running like a well-oiled machine? Or, based on what we've learned, is it a ticking time bomb just waiting for the next July heat wave? Go check that thermostat, swap out that filter, and take control of your home's comfort. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.